Hello, my name is Brian Heimbach. Some of you know me, some of you don't, but for those of you who don't, I am the lead theater faculty here at LCC, and I'll be teaching all the theater courses next term. I usually am the one who does it, but this term I've been lucky enough to have Tara and Stanley teaching the classes while I took a term off, and I'm looking forward to coming back and just want to tell you a little bit about the classes that you can take next term and maybe a little bit about classes in the future. Yeah, so this is just an informal, hey, this is the classes that you're taking, and so here's what's going on. First of all, before I start, I want to make sure that you know a little bit about the importance about registering as early as possible. I won't go into the long sorted story, but classes that don't look like they're going to fill up, they sometimes will cancel because they like to cancel early so that the students who did sign up for that class, if it's going to go away, they want to give them as much time as possible to find another class. So it's really important that even if it's not for theater classes, for all your classes, to sign up as early as possible. Please don't drag your feet on this. Also, you are not committing yourself to taking a class just because you sign up for it. As weird as that sounds, I don't want you to sign up for classes you're probably not going to take, but if you think there's a good chance you're going to take a class, go ahead and get yourself in it as soon as possible. You can drop a class up until Sunday of the first week of classes, and it doesn't cost you anything. You could drop and add classes every day between now and the end of the first week of classes, and it will be just fine. So please register as early as possible for all your classes to make sure that you're getting the schedule that you want. So here's what's going on. As if you're in an acting class this term, you know how the acting classes work. If you're in intro and thinking about taking an acting class, you might not. The classes are what's called a cross-listed, which means that different levels of acting will meet during the same time period. So when you look at the schedule, this will make sense. Acting 1, Acting 2, Acting 3, Intermediate Acting 1, and Intermediate Acting 2 all meet Mondays and Wednesdays from 12 to 2:20. The difference in the class, obviously there's difference in the classes. In Acting 1, you work on basics, the fundamentals. I'm probably not talking to anybody who's going to take Acting 1, although there might be other people watching this video. I hope there are. But basically the higher level acting you go, the more complex the language you're dealing with. You all do the same amount of work, the same amount of written work, memorization, and all that kind of stuff. So Acting 1 for most Acting 1 students, all Acting 1 students will be doing a Shakespearean sonnet, a contemporary scene, and another monologue. So basically, in another scene. Basically, all the acting classes do 2 scenes and a monologue. In Acting 2, you will do a 10-minute play and a monologue. So it's the same length of material. In Acting 1, 3, and the 2 intermediates, for example, you will do 2 5-minute scenes, but in Acting 2 you will do 1 10-minute scene, as well as a monologue. In modern contemporary language, 10-minute play is a genre. It's a whole play with a beginning and a middle and an end. That's why I think it's a good experience to do that, because you get the entire arc of a character that the playwright has written, as opposed to 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there. So I'm just trying to give you exposure to different types of dramatic literature. Then Acting 3, you do a little bit more heightened drama, a bit learning how to access your emotional life as an actor and bring that to a character. You also work on a broader style of comedy in Acting 3. So in Acting 3, you're just ramping things up a bit. I'll cover the other two. So the intermediate Acting 1, you're looking at classic language like Chekhov and Oscar Wilde or Bernard Shaw. And then intermediate Acting 2 is postmodern and absurdist and non-realism. So that's how the regular acting 1 through 5, that those are meant to be in a sequence. You start with acting 1 and you work your way through. Those courses are offered every term, so that you can always drop in and out. That's why I mix one of the reasons I mix the classes like that, because instead of me saying, okay, well, acting 1 would always be offered, but acting 2 is in the winter and acting 3 is in the fall, in the spring. This way a student can jump in and out and meet the classes whenever the schedule will meet them whenever they need it. It also gives you a chance to interact with more students. And to be brutally honest, if I didn't offer classes this way, I probably could never offer like Intermediate 1 and Intermediate 2, because there wouldn't be enough students to fill up a whole class. So this way you get to give feedback to different students throughout your entire actor training at Lane. You get to really know each other, and you get to become a nice family, a nice cohort. So there are lots of advantages to doing it that way. It's the way that you might, if you were a professional actor, keeping your chops going and taking acting classes in New York or LA or Chicago or wherever. Your classes would be meeting like this too. Different actors with different levels of experience. I don't use the word talent or skill. Well, I use the word skill, but talent has nothing to do with acting. So these are Monday, Wednesdays, 12 to 2:20, and the CRN numbers are there. I'm showing you the class schedule. I'm assuming you know how to find it. If you don't know, please contact me or ask Tara or Stanley. The other acting classes next term, acting for camera and improv meet Tuesday and Thursday 2 to 4:20. Now you might think that's a weird mix, improv and acting for camera. They actually have a lot in common, and just practically they work very well together, because in improv, for classes meet basically about 20 times. For 10 of those class meetings, I bring in 2 different guest artists from the community to teach the classes for the improv students. You will go into your Zoom room, and I'll talk about that in a moment, whether or not we're going to be face-to-face. Or when we are face-to-face, they have their own room. And then I take the acting for camera students, and we do different things. But the good thing about improv and acting for camera meeting together is there are many days in acting for camera where I might be off campus with students shooting scenes, and this way I'm able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The guest artists that are already there are there to work with the improv students, but this means that the acting for camera students get some improv work too. So if I'm not working with you on a specific day, then you get to pop in and do some improv training. Improv training is extremely important for any type of acting, but it is very good for acting for camera, because just to give you some things, acting for camera is less text heavy than we might think of as acting for the theater. It's not always the case. This is just a broad generalization, but if you are able to really think on your feet, that's going to really help you in acting for camera. So I'm going to be brutally honest. This is the first time I've done it this way, but I looked at the schedule that I had to submit the schedule back in the fall, and I'm like, why don't I always do it that way? It's going to be awesome. So there. Now, unfortunately, if you want to take improv and acting for camera next term, you really can't do that. But improv is, in the current schedule, improv is going to be offered every fall and every spring. Now, acting for camera is only around in the spring. Again, to be brutally honest, the reason I do that is because it's expensive, because I pay a professional videographer to come in and shoot scenes and monologues for the students in the acting for camera class. So you're going to leave the acting for camera class with the beginning of a really good, what they call a reel, little bit samples of your acting work. You'll have a few monologues in a good quality video, and you'll have a scene. You won't have a 2-character scene. You'll have a scene where we see just you, and more importantly, we see your reactions, because on camera reacting is more important than actually speaking. So that's how those two things work. The beautiful thing is that, if you did want to take improv and you're like, I'm going to take acting for camera too, and I would recommend you take acting for camera because, like I said, you're going to get some of the improv, but acting for camera is only around in the spring. So if you don't take improv now, you can totally take it in the fall. So that's a good thing. Other things, there's rehearsal and performance, theater 253, 153, and 253. Those are getting academic credit for being in a show. So if you're in the SPA show next term, and SPA is doing a show next term, it's going to be an evening of new works, and it's going to be directed by Willow Norton, the same director that's working with us this term to do the Charles Mee play. And so there will be a play. That's not the topic of this little video, but so if you want to get academic credit for that, you can. I don't know the timeline of auditioning, but I'm sure if it's coming up soon, your instructors will let you know. Independent study is something that I work with on students one-on-one. Usually the topic probably has something to do with stand-up comedy, but you can feel free to get in touch with me about that. So the other class that I want to make sure you're aware of is Introduction to Theater. Intro to Theater is always online, so taking it next term, it's not going to be any different than it would be any other time that you would take it. The acting classes hopefully will meet face-to-face again. I keep teasing you. I'll talk about that in a second. But so Intro to Theater is a basic introduction to the excuse me, the art and the business of theater. We look at dramatic literature, what makes a play a play. We look at the different practitioners. What does an actor do, which you probably know better than most people? What does a director do? What do designers do? How about a producer? What's a dramaturg? And we look at a little bit of theater history. Fortunately, those are a set of really awesome theater history videos that are on open source on YouTube. And so it covers a lot about what makes theater awesome, and there are a few multiple choice tests that you take, and you read a handful of plays, and you read the textbook. You read part of the textbook, not the whole thing. It's a very easy read. So there's nothing to buy for Intro to Theater or any class. All of the theater classes are open source. You will never have to pay for a textbook for a theater class. All the plays that you will work out of will come from my digital library. So unless there's something that you want to work out of. So yeah. Now there is also an Intro to Theater's honors section. It meets with it's combined into one section with the regular Intro to Theater, so that you will have other students to play with. But it's all online. Intro to Theater Honors does have heightened academic requirements, which is why it's an honors course. And if I probably don't need to explain how the Honors College works, because if you're in it, you already know. But if you're interested in taking honors classes, please reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with the right people. It's an amazing thing. So are the acting classes going to be face-to-face? I honestly don't really know yet. I have applied, and they're taking a while to get back to me. I think they're waiting to see how COVID goes. I strongly suspect that they're going to let me teach them face-to-face partially, because they're already letting music and dance do it. And my application I submitted was following their same protocols. So now we won't all be meeting face-to-face. Obviously, it won't be just like a regular class with everybody meeting all at the same time. There will be a maximum of 6 people meeting in the Blue Door Theater. So you won't be coming to class every day. You will have class every day, because class will be a combination of I'll bring my laptop to the Blue Door Theater, where the live students will be, and me, and you will be virtually. Let me add, though, that one thing that I will say about COVID, attendance in the acting classes has been the best ever because you haven't had to haul yourself out to school. Um, and I